I believe that within the regulatory servicing industry, tech will supersede a lot of the manual methodologies conducted today. What do I mean by that? Effectively, I imagine that you will have an assistant that will be a robot that will guide you through your methodologies and procedures from day to day wherever that's possible. Let's take an example. If you have a training program and you must train 20 staff around anti-money laundering legislation, for example, today you rely on a compliance officer or their assistant reminding each member of staff to put this in their diary, block the time to train. This can be quite onerous and complicated. As often is the case, some staff may not find the time to do this and therefore things miss deadlines, which leads the company into a position of potential breach, which would weaken its defense should there be any anti-money laundering activities taking place. Therefore today, a compliance officer or their assistant will chase people about the deadlines for doing a certain training. What we hope to achieve through our own regulatory technology today is a register of training that links to an Outlook calendar, for example, that links to a reminder to the relevant staff, and that flags any omissions back to a compliance group. This in itself would save quite a little bit of time around chasing and reinforce the security of the company so that it can prove that it has abided by their rules on training. This is a small example of what regulatory technology will do. You can enhance that 1,000-fold when you start looking at other processes, such as MiFID II processes around product manufacturing, or anything to do with senior manager regime, which implements a form of agenda for senior manager to meet and discuss items in a specific way and potentially record any items discussed or any conclusions. The main developments will be around the facilitation of methodologies and processes so that they are not bypassed or forgotten. That's going to be step number one. It's already in the pipe, it works, we can already do that ourselves, for example. The next developments will be that the technology will be able to talk and take oral instructions. We're not very far from that. You can compare that to what Amazon is doing with Alexa or Apple with Siri. And these are keyword searches or returns that the computer is able to do just by amalgamating what those words should lead to. So, for example, a member of staff may be able to interrogate the computer with regards to what is the gifts policy and what amounts of a gift they can receive before they disclose it to a compliance officer. That may seem simple, but for the most part, usually staff will not be able to remember the number, they may receive a gift, and they don't always have the time to refer back to the compliance manual. A simple oral instruction to the computer will lead to them being aware of that number. The next stage is that being aware of that amount, the computer could offer, through very simple algorithms, a question such as, would you like us to complete the register of gifts or inducements? And the computer will be able to determine from the amount whether that should be notified to compliance or not. These are some of the developments we see coming up forthwith. Interestingly, most people are familiar with fintech and most people are investing in fintech. There's very little attention paid to regulatory technology today. Having said that, the UK government itself defined regulatory technology as a part of the financial technology developments. Because effectively, fintech is anything that assists in the process of providing financial services. Clearly, being able to put the words related to the legislation into a computer is part of facilitating the way financial services operate. Therefore, regulatory technology, or RegTech, is very much a component of fintech. The key drivers today are to be more efficient because clients do not want to wait to be onboarded, for example, or compliance officers who are highly paid, highly educated individuals do not want to be spending their time chasing staff for whether they did their training or not. So efficiencies is the key. The other part is savings. Clearly today, when you employ 40 people to do client onboarding, to follow certain processes of workflows to be compliant with, for example, anti-money laundering legislation or potentially MiFID suitability legislation, is not very efficient. You want to reduce the amount of staff there, use software, and therefore cost-cutting becomes a key part of what regulatory technology has to offer.